details are out. They're coming through as we speak. We've had so many like this. Does it feel like another fudge, or is this going to restore trust now?
I think the problem with the asset quality review is it's quite a long process. So this week we've just had the definitions of what does forbearance mean and what's a bad debt. And it's madness in a way that we're sorting out this kind of detail, 6 years after a crisis. And then, all that we're going to have is sort of today is what does the stress test look like? What's the sort of capital level that we're stressing to? And the test itself and the asset quality review runs for the year, and that's still done by the national regulators before we really have the ECB taking control. So this is just about steps in a journey rather than being at the end point yet, I feel. All
right, a few little details here. The assessment's going to be based on capital benchmark of 8%, common equity tier 1. For success of the exercise, ex-ante availability of backstops is critical. I mean, all these details coming out. How do you feel about investment in European banks anyway, generally now?
Well, I think banks remained a very leveraged play on the macro. And I think there are some signs that, things are continuing to improving. I know Peugeot had bad results today, but actually auto sales and things like that have generally been strong. And we've seen the periphery rally quite strongly. So I think if people start to get more confidence about the macro, then that will continue. But really, as the asset quality review shows, that there does need to be a lot of lifting before we can really feel very confident about these. So a bit of sort of short-term momentum could continue, but longer-term, behind the scenes, there remains some work to be done.
Where's growth going to come from in general for European companies? And do you expect them to start investing again?
That's such a good question. I think that just in the UK we have £500 million that are sitting on balance sheets that now the government's asking them to start to invest. I think the results that we've had, though, we haven't had, you've heard it today with Heineken and things like that. Things haven't returned so strongly. I think that companies are still going to be wanting to sit there with a fortress-like balance sheet. We've come out of one of the longest, sort of toughest time in economic history. It's not really surprising that the recovery is sort of going to take a long time as well to get really going.
Do you think, it's funny, when we look at upgrades versus downgrades, more downgrades than up, I think 2 to 1. Are we being too bearish about this earnings season?
Well, I think, part of it is the very recent data is stronger, but, the earnings are for the past 12 months and the past 9 months, and companies had, some very difficult trading times in that. So I think that's a good point, that the nearer term, and certainly the companies that we're talking to, some of the nearer term is better than what they were looking at 9 months ago. So it's still a very early stages in the foothills.